zone, so if you do need to step out and collect yourself, feel free to do so with us. And without further ado, Dr. Hassan.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. So we went to Gaza in January. We entered through Rafah. We flew into Cairo, and as I was mentioning earlier, it's a 3-4 hour journey from Cairo to Rafah, but it took us 12 hours because there were 8 checkpoints. So you can't take a lot of medical supplies into Gaza. Anything they think as dual use, anything with a power drill, plates, screws, these are all the things that you need to fix the fracture of children or men or women. If you have a spine fracture, your jawbone, or any broken stuff, you need these equipments to fix, to treat. And those are all banned from being taken into Gaza. We were placed in the Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis. In January at the time, most of the fight was in Khan Yunis. The heavy bombardment going around the hospital, and we lived with the constant background noise of tank shelling, F-35s dropping these huge bombs that shakes the hospital, and a lot of this plaster falls off from the blast waves. Even we thought that windows could become shrapnel and hurt you.
Dr. Hassan, someone was asking, what 3 weeks were you there?
Yeah, January 8th we entered, and it's a 2.5 weeks, but total journey from US is 3. We left Gaza on the 24th. So 8th to 24th we were in the... Yeah. So at the time, this was the second largest hospital, Nasser Hospital. Al-Shifa was pretty much attacked and destroyed first time, and subsequently they destroyed it completely. So this was the only partly functioning hospital. It was a 350-bed hospital, but we had over 900 patients, and we had 10,000 refugees in and around the hospital at the time, because the electricity was available only within 2 blocks of the hospital. The rest of the Khan Yunis was dark, and they're bombing. And as soon as we put our luggage, we go down to emergency room. This is what we witnessed. Mass casualty event is if any given time 5 or more injured people come. In the United States, it's typically a road traffic accident or a mass shooting event in a mall or a school, stuff like that. If one such event happens in a community hospital here, it will take them months to recover from the logistics. So in Gaza, this was happening every hour, every other hour, non-stop, day and night. So most of the children you see here didn't make it. And you see the child is a collapsed lung. We put the chest tube. His head was completely broken. His skull was like a broken egg. And the next day morning, he didn't survive. And you can see here, I'm putting a chest tube in another patient. In my hand, you don't see a scalpel because that was not allowed in Gaza at the time. We were using just the tip of the scalpel, only the blade part, and we didn't have any anesthesia. As you see in the middle picture, a family member holding the IV fluid. Here, Dr. Taher trying to intubate a patient. 4 or 5 teams involved. That's nobody there to help you to get you something. You can't ask like in the United States, get me the chest tube, get me this and that. You can't. You just do what you can do. And this is a graphic video. If you don't want to watch, this is an amputation without anesthesia. It's a trauma amputation. When people come in, that's not even a proper trauma tourniquet. We use that is the left foot of the gentleman, and this is not uncommon. You can see we don't even have a proper tourniquet. We are using the oxygen tube we use in this country as a tourniquet. Then he made it to the operating room. Many a times we saw people, we couldn't help them. They bleed and they die in front of you because we didn't have enough to save their lives. So this could be any given time. With volunteers are there. It's only 4 people supposed to be in this bay. And when these trauma patients come, there will be 15, 20 people at a time. Depends on the size of the bomb they use. And sometimes even before you have a chance to clean these, another wave of people come in. Obviously we wouldn't even stand on the floor with the blood. They come and put their children on this. They don't love any less than us. Exactly like how you love your children, they do love their children. But they're so desperate. And these children are living in their apartments, in their tents. This is not a war. War is when 2 standing armies fight each other with the soldiers having the protection, bulletproof helmets. This is an occupied land, highly concentrated civilian population. For example, in Mariupol, every city block had 17 people. In Gaza, it's 236 people. And they have no protection from war. And they're dropping these huge bombs, 500 pound, 1,000 pound, 2,000 pound bombs. These bombs have a blast range up to 18 football field. Imagine you in a neighborhood, somebody drops that bomb and you find your child under the rubble. You pick them up, you run to the hospital, ambulances can't go. When we were there, we were getting 1 meal a day. But what we missed more was no phone, no internet. So you can't call 911. So your phone is of no use. Even if you call, ambulances don't come because they bomb the ambulances. Hospitals have a limit of 500 meters. That's how far ambulance can go. I have a picture of ambulance next to the hospital that has been bombed. So these children, you might have seen the video of Soul of My Soul, a grandpa holding his granddaughter. They all look like they're sleeping, just covered in the concrete dust. That blast wave is so powerful, these young children's bodies can't take it. So the internal organs rupture. They die instantly. We call it DOA, dead on arrival. So these children, sometimes the families bring 5, 6 children. Against hope, they ask whether at least they can take one child alive. So that's the kind of massacre that's going on. There's no respite. It's day and night, non-stop. So this hospital is a really advanced hospital. They had an intensive care unit. They had 15 beds. We had a lot of patients. We have been taking care of. This is Dr. Zahir. He's the co-founder of MedGlobal. We had an X-ray was working. We had a CAT scan. These are all the Palestinian healthcare workers. They are the real heroes because many of their 90% of the homes were destroyed. They are not paid from October. We are all calling in sick for some lame excuse time to time. It's very human nature. These people have their family members killed. Many of them are wounded. They had surgery. They come to work. This is the typical scenario I was explaining. So we scan them, like triage them, not scan, triage them. Here this child is still alive, we intubated. There is no ventilator for them. So that we give it to the family member to squeeze the bag. If they're alive, they fracture, we stabilize. Patient needs to go to operating room. Here somebody working here. Here they're trying to intubate. These are all patients who didn't make it, they're dead. So these patients, the families come and they take them. They're not counted. They don't go to the mortuary to be counted. So any numbers that you hear are a huge undercount, as I mentioned earlier. Since March, that number is stuck as 35,000 because they're not letting you count. There are thousands of people under the rubble. They are not counted. And now they are trying to create a confusion about the number of people that United Nations have counted. The only controversy is how many people have been identified. They only identified 24,000 people. So they're trying to say the number of deaths by March was half what it was. In fact, it might be double. So these are all because there's no media, Western media, not a single journalist in Gaza to document any of this. None of this. Imagine that. They have documented every single atrocity, any corner of the planet, but they are not allowed to go inside. So our media is complicit in this. This is a nice hospital. You can see when we went, there's so much humanity in the front of the hospital. There's so many tents around, and we were evacuated because we saw tanks around. They're bombing a building across the hospital. That shrapnel was hitting the hospital building. Now look at how much space.
Eerie silence. No one and nothing is there.
I was surprised to see this amount of empty space around the Nasser
So we
hospital.
are here in Nasser Medical Complex. Most of the equipment and machinery are damaged. It's a complete mess. And since the last siege, this hospital is non-functional.
WHO, along with partners, back in November 2019, established the Limb Reconstruction Center to save patients from being amputated. Now, this place is ruined.
Here in front of the Nasser Medical Complex warehouse. That warehouse was also serving the medical supplies, essential medicines for many other hospitals south of Wadi Gaza. We are ready to rehabilitate and renovate and help reconstruct the health infrastructure. However, what is needed for that is actually a sustained ceasefire. It's absolutely needed. This was again the second most important referral hospital, 350 bed capacity and all the medical specializations. During the crisis, it had 700 plus patients, and after the last raid, this hospital has become dysfunctional.
So they destroyed the entire hospital. You saw the amputations. There are pregnant women now delivering babies with C-sections without any anesthesia. And they have nowhere else to go. After 4 hours, after a C-section, patients with their children have been sent. Where they go, we don't know. Maybe a tent somewhere, but no pain medication. There is no help with breastfeeding, no education, no vaccination, nothing. And every kind of...
So does the hospital provide food and water for patients?
No. When we were there, the World Central Kitchen used to bring one meal in the evening, so they used to distribute for everybody who used to be there. So at that time, we thought how much worse it could get, but now they are not even getting one meal a day. So every kind of human right violation you could imagine is being carried out every day now. And this is a complete siege. By international rule, occupying power has a legal duty to provide food, medicine, water, and security of the people they occupy. So Gaza is 4 generations of people in their own ancestral land has been pushed into this concentration in a small strip of land. They are not even pretending to send them any food, water, medicine by legally what they are obliged to. They are stopping others helping them bring food, water, and medicine. So this is a crime upon another crime. So United Nations Relief and Work Agency, it forms the backbone of their education, supporting the refugees, vaccination, all kinds of healthcare, food, water. They wanted to dismantle this to make sure that generations of Palestinians would live in despair in the future. They are the historic witness to the 1948 Nakba. They have all the documents of every single refugee family, where they came from and so on. They made a lie that 12 of these members were involved in October 7 without any investigation, proof, or conclusion. Instantly, every single Western nation has cut the funding without any proof. As always, later on, it has been proven as lies, and many countries have started to fund, And still today, United States has not restarted its funding. Whereas they try to change the narrative. From their perspective, these are not refugees. They don't have the right to return. They purposefully want to destroy UNRWA so that their existence, the document of their existence is erased. It's not only the 80% of the homes destroyed, all the mosques, churches. Even Napoleon stayed here 3 days in Gaza. Gaza used to be a very multicultural highway between Alexandria to Damascus. It has thousands of years of history. They want to destroy everything, including a fertility clinic with 4,000 embryos. 4,000 embryos. I know a lot of people in this country are opposed to abortion and so on. Not a single word from them condemning this. 4,000 Palestinian embryos has been destroyed. So there is no end in sight. They have been destroying everything. Even before the war, 90% of the water Palestinians drinking in Gaza was not, we would not even touch them. We would not even use them to wash our feet. They are not compatible for human use. That's before war. Now they not only destroy the water system, they destroy the sewer system. As soon as you enter, you can see puddle of sewer mixed with human waste, and then tons and tons, millions of tons of concrete debris from the destruction, millions of gallons of sewer out in the public where children are walking without shoes. There are wounds, children walking that septic water, they come into the clinic to change the dressing. We put the dressing, they walk back in that. And there is so much of garbage. Imagine if you don't collect the garbage for a week in your homes. Imagine for 7 months in your neighborhood. Now it's summer, it's 100 degrees. Plus so many thousands of dead people under the debris. So this is a health hazard too. This is a comparison between what I saw in Gaza as well as in Ukraine. As soon as you enter Gaza, you see this. People have nowhere to go. Men, women, children, disabled, no electricity, no food, no water. They don't know where to put their tent if they have a tent. Whereas in Ukraine, we are entering the middle of the night. This is the right way to do. Get the women, children, disabled, out of the harm's way. If they would have done the same courtesy, if they extended that humanity to the Palestinians in Gaza, 10,000 women would not have been killed. Among them are 6,000 mothers. Now, as a result, there's 19,000 children who are orphaned. 14,000 children have been killed so far. If you want the statistics, they are killing 3 school buses full of children every single day. Waukegan School District have over 13,000 children. Imagine every classroom, every school in this school district has no child when you go back to home. They killed every single child you could imagine in the entire school district, the size of this Waukegan School District. And the Pediatric Medical Association, none of the American medical institutions which teach us compassion, justice, dignity, nobody, no universities, no medical institutions have come up and condemned a single word so far. Children, sometimes you feel having been killed is the best outcome if you are a Palestinian in Gaza, because there are over 70,000 people living with wounds that's infected. There is no pain medication. Imagine this child. They don't even cry because their pain is so much, they stop crying. You have no pain medication for this child. If it gets infected, no antibiotics. So it's a slow, painful death.
Doc, I heard another physician say they don't even have the energy to cry.
They don't. They don't have the energy to cry. When you don't eat, when you don't drink, you are in so much pain. You have nothing. You can't even breathing takes some energy. So there are 4,500 children like this, seriously injured that needs to be medevaced out of Gaza. They are approving 20 children to be moved out of Gaza. That was before they attacked the Rafah border, which was closed now for more than 10 days. Nobody can go in or come out. These are the real heroes. These people are not paid. Their homes have been destroyed. They are injured. Many of them lost their own family members. They still come to work. They don't complain. They are highly dignified people. They welcome you. They extend their hospitality. They are the best of the human beings. Their faith is so much. They don't blame America, they don't blame Europe, they don't blame the Arab countries around. They just say this is, Allah is testing us. I never met people with such faith. This is the chief of surgery, the Department of Surgery. We were resuscitating together patients. This is Dr. Taher. He's the one who walked out of Biden's White House meeting. And this Dr. Abu Taima, he disappeared on February 15th. To date, we don't know where he is. They took 70 healthcare workers from the Nasser hospital, and later on we had this video last month.
Gaza has just uncovered another mass grave at a hospital, and the US media doesn't want you to know about it. The bodies of over 400 murdered Palestinians have been found at Nasser Hospital in Khan Yunis. Rescuers have unearthed handcuffed men in medical scrubs and severely mutilated bodies that appear to have been executed and decapitated. Palestinian mothers struggle to identify the remains of lost children who have been maimed beyond recognition. Gaza health officials are still putting the pieces together in the aftermath of Israel's brutal 3-month invasion of Khan Yunis. During that time, the IDF raided Nasser Hospital multiple times, completely destroying Gaza's second largest medical complex, while 10,000 people were taking refuge there. And Nasser is not the first hospital that Israel has turned into a cemetery. Gaza officials just discovered a mass grave at Al-Shifa Hospital too. The magnitude of these crimes should be front-page news all over the world, but very few of the top news outlets in the US have covered it. That's because evidence that Israel continues to commit war crimes doesn't fit neatly into the US establishment's narrative that Israel really needs billions more in military aid for self-defense, while they portray anyone protesting Israel's genocide as anti-Semitic. Israel is waging a war on Gaza hospitals because it wants to make it impossible for Palestinians to survive.
There was a journalist who was pressing one of Biden's representatives and asking, why don't you have an independent investigation? And he said, we're going to partner, and we're going to ask our partners Israel to investigate. He pressed, he's like, you're going to ask the accuser to investigate his own crime? That's like asking Ted Bundy to investigate all the rape crimes and all the murders that he did. It doesn't make sense. It would become a joke.
It's very true. If you look back in the history, they let the genocide in Rwanda happen. So one of the journalists asked James Baker, why didn't the United States do anything about it? The answer was, United States have no interest in Rwanda. So we always have foreign policy. They used to say they either see them as a target or a market. That's how the United States sees them. If they have no interest, they will let the genocide happen. But now here, they are not just looking away. They're actively committing the genocide. I used to think in January when I came back, if our Congress and White House wants, they could stop this genocide overnight. Then over a few months, what has transpired is, even if Biden wants, he can't stop it because Biden works for them. Because how can a president of the United States being insulted publicly and still he continues to support sending our money and dollars, even after taking that public insults? So a president of a foreign country is accusing our American college students exercising peacefully First Amendment rights in American universities as Nazis and terrorists. Not one single member in United States politics has condemned that, either from a local council all the way to White House. So that shows we are the most occupied country in the world. Every European city is occupied. The only occupied place that's fighting back is Gaza. So we need to do everything to support them because Their fight has highlighted how much corrupt our politicians are. They don't represent us. They don't. If they represent us, if our universities represent us, the university Senate would not call snipers on the students. Within 5 hours in Art Institute in Chicago downtown, there's snipers on the roof of the college. There are automatic weapons in the hands of the National Guard against peacefully protesting, putting a tent in a college campus. You take high interest loan and you pay tuition fees, which they invest in billions. And all these hand-picked people in the universities, they enjoy their power and privilege. Every police sheriff appointed here, taken for a free, all-paid trip. That's how they militarize our police. How many of you can say, in all honesty, cops in this country are all 100% to protect and serve? The kind of weapons, the armored vehicles they bring to counter the students holding a placard or a Palestinian flag. It is like a militarized system. We need to fight this occupation from us, from here. So this is a systemic violation, pattern of violence, and they destroyed every single university. So if you have a college-age child in your home, they have no college to go to. This is the last college they destroyed was on the January 17th of this year, Isra University. You saw that big building, they've sent a bomb and destroyed it. 80% of schools destroyed, over 500 doctors and nurses have been killed. And this is a complete dehumanization. They strip them naked, they torture them, they give them false hope. They tell you, you are free to go. You are naked with your child. You are walking along the street. They kill the father. And they shoot the 14-year-old boy. This is documented. And none of the Western politicians have condemned this. And we are still supporting this. So we make no mistake, this is our genocide of Palestinians, our government's genocide. And we are sending more and more money. We just say we are not sending 2,000-pound bombs. What about 1,000-pound bomb? Look at this bomb. This yellow building is a Nasser hospital. So imagine this blast waves that could kill people in the neighborhood. We have witnessed so many deaths that I can't even describe. It's not even in textbooks of trauma surgery. The kind of deaths you see from the, depends how far you are from the blast. There are people who are mummified in concrete. We can't even put an IV line into the skin because the skin is coated with the heat and the blast wave, a cement layer. How could you break that to get access to their vein to give them fluid? You can't. And as soon as we left, they just opened the Rafah gate. We left on January 24th. All the trucks as we went in, still there for weeks and months, full of humanitarian supply. They have milk for kids, milk powder, medicine, pain medication, antibiotics, tents, food, water. Now the government is throwing 30,000 meals from aeroplanes on 2 million people. And some of the parachute don't open that kill people too. And they're constructing a pier. All they have to do is open the door. 1,000 trucks could go in today. If they want, they could do it, but they wouldn't. So this, according to our Jewish scholar, Professor Norman Finkelstein, he calls this a concentration camp. This is a small strip of land. If you run a marathon from here, that's Israel. From here, you will be crossing into Egypt. By the time you finish your marathon, it's 25 miles long, small strip of land. And he calls this not even a genocide, he calls this a Holocaust. This place is under siege, they're starving, they're thirsty. And you can look at the migration in the last 10 days. 500,000 people from Rafah has gone into Khan Yunis. So they have nowhere to go. Imagine like, if all of us were asked to walk to our home and they bomb on the way, and then you put a tent in your garden, and there is no running water, no toilet, no food. And another 20 families move into your neighborhood, in your garden. And then they bomb you again and they tell you to leave after a month or two. So there are 3,000 unexploded bombs. That's about 5 nuclear bombs worth. They dropped 75,000 tons of bombs. The one I showed maybe a 5,000 pounds, 1,000 pound bomb. Imagine 75,000 tons of bomb dropped on the people. So at first we thought it's post-apocalyptic. Every single day, when you see a 6-month-old pregnant woman coming and fainting, you resuscitate in a cold concrete floor, you give them fluid, they send them home or wherever they go, you think what can get worse? They come and destroy that hospital. That floor of the Nasser hospital is now full of sewer system. Nobody else who walks in now can even lie on that cold concrete floor to get some treatment. What we need is a political courage. I came here, I spoke to the city council, I've been to a few city council. They're all cowards, they don't represent us. We need to bring people with political courage into government to represent us. We need some free press, not those who are practicing malpractice, and we need ethical academia. So please don't stop talking about Palestine. What happens there is not going to stop there. The same system that is causing this genocide in Gaza is in control of all aspects of our life here in the West, either in Europe or United States. We need to fight this system. We need to join with the students who have nothing but clarity and moral values. They are putting a lot of things at risk. So we need to support our students. We need to bring back American values, protecting justice, human dignity, and life. Thank you.
Jazakallah khairan, Dr. Hassan. I don't know, my heart has ever been shattered that many times in the span of half hour, 45 minutes. Sometimes I couldn't even look. Any questions for Dr. Hassan?
What does it mean? It doesn't stop in Gaza.
Yeah, it wouldn't stop in Gaza. It will expand into West Bank because the people who are there, they don't represent anything other than their own extremist ideology. Another group of victims are the millions of peace-loving Jewish brothers and sisters we see in the protest march around the world with us. And they are against this genocide, they're against this occupation, but this genocide is committed in the name, in the religion too, in the name of the religion. So they have hijacked this. So these are extremists. They are not going to stop with Gaza. Once they finish Gaza, they will go into West Bank. And they have clearly said it many times in United Nations. They want to expand all the way into Judea and Samaria, whatever their ideology, they want to expand into it. So we need to stop this craziness, this madness into killing humanity further.
Any other questions? Yes, Myron.
How do I just go visit Gaza? I mean, what kind of qualifications do they have to go visit Gaza?
As long as you are willing to go there, we can always find a way. Mostly now, people who are going there are humanitarian aid workers, doctors, nurses, people affiliated with taking care of patients mostly, and a lot of aid workers also going in. But one thing I found when you go any other place, any conflict zone, Syria, Ukraine, doesn't matter. One thing, when we go there, we feel like we have done a lot, but when you return, you realize it's not even a drop in the bucket. We didn't even scratch the surface. And all the medical supplies we take, all the funds we raise, all the surgeries you do there, nothing compares to you being there with them, talking to them. The children come and give you high five, they laugh with you. For them, the most important thing is we are all coming from a rich country, comfortable lifestyle, we leave everything to go. So they value your presence more than anything else you do. For them, that is the biggest support that they get.
I don't don't know if you guys, those of you who went to the Waukegan City Hall, one of the Rose 9 supporters, he came up and he said, why is Israel being singled out? There's other genocides going on. Why are we singling out Israel? How would you respond to that, Doc?
Exactly. Even now as we speak, there is a genocide going on in Sudan. As I mentioned earlier, in an ideal world, America would intervene. We don't even recognize them as genocide until it's all over, because once you declare officially that's a genocide, then you have a moral and legal obligation by Genocide Convention to go and take steps to stop it. That's the reason you never hear from government officials, it's a genocide that's happening in Sudan. There are 8 million refugees there. There's a genocide going on, but everybody knows. But they would not say that word, then they have a legal obligation to go and do it. Why this genocide in Gaza is important? Here, America has an interest. We don't know what the interest, there's a lot of things about gas and oil and stuff like that, but America is not even intervening to stop the genocide. America is complicit in providing funds and arms and the veto legal protection for this genocide to continue. So we are knee-deep in this. We can't say just we didn't know this or we were not part of it, we are helping them to defend. None of that is going to fly. History is being documented. It's not like in the past, people could rewrite the history. This genocide has been documented with audio and video. So this is American, European enabled genocide. Without us, this wouldn't have gone.
Sisters who want to ask a question, you can take your phone and scan the QR code, and then you can type your question there. And yes,
So with Rafah crossing being closed, is Medical Global planning another trip, or how they would? Can you repeat his question too?
Yeah, his question is, Rafah gate is closed. How are the future medical mission people go in or supplies go in? So my presentation is through my medical mission experience. A lot of other opinions I say is my own. It doesn't represent the institution or NGO I went in with. That's my own opinions. Definitely one of the groups that's going half the way through from Cairo to Rafah has been United Nations called them and turned back, and because they were planning to attack Rafah, and within 24 hours they closed the border completely, and physically the Israeli forces have taken over the Rafah now, so they can't go in and out. But as you might have noticed, so many doctors have been stuck, American doctors stuck inside Rafah, but 15 of the American and European doctors have been allowed to come out of Rafah. If they want a way, they will find a way. But they are now stopping for the last 10 days. There's not a single truck has gone in. And so their whole thing is they want these 2 million Palestinians to disappear. They're already coming online, and openly they're saying how they're going to build condos and all the developments along Gaza. So there's no secret. They're not making it secret. It's not a conspiracy theory. They are making it open knowledge to the world. So I don't know how there more humanitarians could go in or supplies when the Rafah gate is closed. Until it's open, that's not going to be an easy task.
There's a question here, Doc. How do you respond to the claim that Palestine is the ethnic homeland of the Jews?
I'm not qualified to answer that question. It's a historic fact. It's a homeland of a lot of people who live there for centuries. And this is something that's beyond the realm of my knowledge. I'm sorry.
We do see photos before 1948 of Muslims, Christians, Jews, right, working together. So there was multi-racial, multi-ethnic before the disposition of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. Any other questions before we conclude? Make a short dua. Remember, brothers and sisters, as As tempting as it is, we do, the Prophet ﷺ did say, وَإِنَّ لِجَسَدِكَ عَلَيْكَ حَقًّا وَإِنَّ لِعَيْنِكَ حَقًّا. Your eyes do have a right over you. So if you are watching Democracy Now! Or some of these trustworthy organizations, or some of these videos for 3-4 hours a day, but we're not praying salah, we're not giving time to our family members and our children, and we're not taking care of our bodies, then we're not doing it right. We have to still make sure we do that which is farḍ, that which is in our control, but also raising awareness for our Palestinian brothers and sisters. And just because we think we're safe, it's not happening to me, it will affect us one day if we don't continue to raise awareness. So let us make a concluding dua. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما صليت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى ال محمد كما باركت على ابراهيم وعلى ال ابراهيم انك حميد مجيد. اللهم استر عوراتهم وامن روعاتهم واحفظهم من بين ايديهم ومن خلفهم وعن ايمانهم وعن شمائلهم. اللهم ربنا آتهم في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وقهم عذاب النار. اللهم إنا نجعلك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك في نحورهم ونعوذ بك من شرورهم. اللهم انصر المظلومين المستضعفين في فلسطين. اللهم انصر المجاهدين في فلسطين. ربنا عليك توكلنا وإليك أنبنا وإليك المصير. ربنا لا تجعلنا فتنة للقوم الظالمين ونجنا برحمتك من القوم الكافرين. Ya Allah, Ya Allah, our brothers and sisters in Palestine have passed the test. We have seen them doing acts of patience, and you have made their foot ثبت أقدامهم. We have seen it with our own eyes. Ya Allah, allow us to also pass the test. Allow us to do our part in raising awareness for the oppressed. Ya Allah, we ask that you allow the Palestinian brothers and sisters to always have good thoughts about you. حسن الظن بك. Ya Allah, allow us to always, despite whatever we are going through, we ask that you strengthen their tawakkul in you. We ask that you grant them husn al-dhan with you, Ya Allah. Ya Allah, allow us to internalize the ayah, وَلَا عَذَابُ الْآخِرَةِ أَشَدُّ وَأَبْقَى. That, the dramatic videos and photos that we have seen allow us to realize that the punishment for the oppressors will be even more severe and it will be everlasting. Ya Allah, grant us contentment. We ask that you grant the Palestinian brothers and sisters freedom. Ya Allah, we ask that you grant them equality. Grant them that you grant them protection from the oppressors. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله. 2 weeks, inshallah, we will be inviting the author of this book, Maulana Tamim. Those of you who have been attending the Seerah class, we have been connecting it to what's going on in Palestine. So feel free to come to that. That will be in 2 weeks. Before you leave, please do meet Dr. Hassan. It took him about an hour to come here, so we want to show our gratitude to him. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.